TGR News, broadcasting from the State of Israel.
Welcome back to TGR News.
Shalom from Israel.
Well, we got pretty bad weather today. It's not,
No.
so we're inside, different than what we usually do.
You know, but this whole winter has been, it's not much of a winter.
No.
I don't think we've had one day below freezing.
Yeah, it's not been a real big winter.
Now we're talking about in the Jerusalem area, and of course, no, we're not talking about Mount Hermon, right?
Right.
Where the snow on the mountain. But it's been and that's not only this year. That's been we're talking about climate change here.
What?
But I think the last 3 winters has been really bad, and that's really bad for a lot of reasons. You know, one thing, you need that good cold winter every now and then just to eliminate a lot of your insect infestation. You know.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, I wanted to say something kind of important. We've noticed a lot of reports out on Israel lately of different things that are happening and everything. And one thing we can say is we put out everything that's happening in Israel. We're not blind. We see what's going on. And what we do here on this channel is we put out what's actually happening. So if we don't talk about something that you hear somewhere else, it's because it doesn't happen. It's not happening. And it's something important. You need to be able to trust us and know that I love Israel. We love Israel. And I always want to put Israel in good light, but I won't lie to do so. And, that's just the way we've always been. So it's important to know that if it's happening, we'll let you know. Now, let's say some guy robbed a store last night. Okay, well, that I won't put in TGR News, but anything that's relevant to what's going on worldwide, we always report it.
Well, you know the interesting thing about the truth, Joel, it's the truth as we know it.
Yes.
You know, that doesn't mean it's, I don't want to get philosophical here, but that doesn't really mean it's the truth. There's been a lot of things that happen and you might hear about. I'm not being contrary now.
Okay.
But there's been a lot of things we may not have heard about. We don't know about it. And I'm sure there are a lot of those things everywhere because that's just the way life is in a society, right?
Yeah.
But if we believe it's worth your hearing, you'll hear from us.
Absolutely. And like, for example, they're talking about all these people dying and everything. I can tell you, I know a lot of people that work in the medical facility, in medical industry here in Israel, in the hospitals. Israel's a small country. It's not like America. There's not hundreds or maybe even thousands of hospitals spread around the country. There's only 5 big hospitals. And I know the head anesthesiologist in the biggest one, Hadassah. He's with me in the military. I know doctors in Ichilov, the biggest one in Tel Aviv. I know people that I trust in all of them. And I can tell you, during Corona, it was overran. And now, after the vaccines, there are not being people coming to the hospital and dying from vaccines. I can tell you that. It's true. Not saying the vaccine's a good thing. I'm just saying dying from the vaccine is not something that's happening.
Yeah, I hear reports about just dropping dead like flies all over Israel.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't even seen any flies drop dead lately, but much less any people. It's just unbelievable. The way the stories are, and the death toll here from the beginning of what was the last March, a year from now,
yes.
The last year, from COVID is right around 5,000.
Yes,
it hadn't changed. It hasn't changed more than a couple hundred or 200 or 300 in the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And so it's not as if everyone's going to die. But all these other rumors
the future will tell.
The future will tell. 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years. Whether all of our hair falls out or whatever happens to us, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
If you took the vaccine.
If you took it, yeah. Which I think in Israel now we're up to about 5 million. Israel is 9 million people, and 5 million have taken the vaccine. So you're talking about 4 million who still have it and don't look like they're going to.
Yeah, and of the 5 million that's taken, less than 1% have died from the corona. The ones who have taken it. Yeah. All those 5 million, less than 1% have died from corona. Out of that 5 million. Yeah. That's the real numbers.
Yeah, and if you want to talk the real numbers too, is like you said, for this past year, 5,000 have died in Israel. Around 5,000 have died from corona in Israel. But this past year, the death rate has gone up by 15,000 people, even though only 5,000 is from corona. The other 10,000 is because of the corona cases taking over the hospitals, getting overwhelmed, and other people dying from other things.
Not to even mention the suicides and depression
and that's going to continue.
Huh?
And that's going to continue for years to come.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's
but
horrible.
It's not only Israel. I'm sure America is facing the same situation. Thousands and tens of thousands in America, small businesses, have not only shut down but closed down because they just run out of money.
Yeah, Mama and I walked around town the other day because we had to go get something, and every time I saw a closed door, I told Mama, I said, every one of those closed doors, when the businesses are supposed to be open now, that's a couple families that are hurting somewhere.
Yeah.
4 or 5 maybe even.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. This Sunday, the country finally opened up. Almost everything is open. Everyone can go do everything, including restaurants. And the only thing is this green pass, this green passport, which is horrible. Is what you need to be able to go to public swimming pools, to go to gyms, and they say to eat inside a restaurant. This past week, you went to the mall and ate at the restaurant, right? Yeah. It was inside. Did anyone ask you for a green passport?
No.
So also all these and to travel, the only thing for green passport that helps you with travel is you don't have to go on home quarantine. But there is something really bad happening with that too.
What?
Something new. Right now, well, we know this week they've opened up the airports for up to 3,000 Jews per day. Or that's the cap. They can't go over 3,000 to come back home.
That's the Jews, the Israeli citizens that are someplace abroad, right?
Someplace else. They can only up to 3,000 a day. But there's a new thing being passed. Electronic.
Oh, yeah.
You heard about that?
Yeah.
The electronic wristband.
Like they do on criminals on parole.
Absolutely, like on house arrest, where you can either do that or go into quarantine when you come in. But it's for 10 days. But they're tracking you everywhere you go for 10 days.
But I don't even know why they bother. They track. If you have an iPhone, if you have a smartphone in your pocket, they're tracking you anyway. Here in Israel, I remember a few months ago, they were sending people to jail for just breaking quarantine because they were tracked by their telephone. They knew they broke their quarantine.
Yep, it's bad.
It's really bad. It's like Big Brother is just completely taken over.
Yeah. Getting into other things other than Corona, get off that subject. Yeah. This week, the IDF caught 2 Palestinians that had attacked a soldier and stole his gun. A soldier was home on his weekend leave, and he was walking around, and it was in the evening, and the 2 Palestinians attacked him and took his gun. They found the Palestinians, they got their gun back, and they caught the Palestinians.
Yeah, well, that's just a daily event. You know, that's just one we heard. That's one somebody felt like putting on the news lately. But I think if they put every one of those kind of things that happen for personal incidents between Israeli soldiers or Israeli citizens and Palestinians on the street, if everyone was ever attacked, that's all you'd have would be news.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all to say. Yeah. Well, we got 10 days left to the election. The 4th election.
Yeah.
Gideon Sar, Naftali Bennett, and Yair Lapid, and of course Benjamin Netanyahu, they're all putting their last pushes in to get their votes. Gideon Sar turned out to be an absolute horrible candidate, I think. At the very beginning, I thought I had some hopes for him.
Yeah, you're always trying to talk me into voting.
At the beginning, but no, he's no good anymore. Definitely.
Uh-oh, he must have said something to make you mad. Huh?
No, it wasn't. It's just you could tell. He's just his way. The way he's moving. The only thing that he wants is to make sure Bibi is not prime minister. I don't want anyone to be a prime minister where their only goal is to someone else is not the prime minister.
Yeah,
that's just without even going into the details.
Well, I don't understand this thing about Lapid being second. I think he's the second largest thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you the numbers right now. Last night there was the latest polls. These are the polls. Likud, Benjamin Netanyahu has 29 seats. Lapid has 20 and getting stronger.
And I can't understand that.
Bennett has 11 and Sar has 9.
Yeah. Bennett, I can understand. I think Bennett will by the end of 10 days, his numbers will increase some.
And Lapid, his numbers are increasing as we talk.
The bottom line is it's going to be impossible to form a coalition without the Likud. Now, people are saying they won't sit in a coalition with Netanyahu because he has criminal charges against him. Those criminal charges only been against him for the last 2 centuries, I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just constant, and the petty little things. He got too many free cigars, or his wife drank too much wine, or something. It's just insane little things. But
yeah, and right now, just like every single elections, just a couple of weeks before the elections, the news is the only thing you hear in the news is all these allegations against Benjamin Netanyahu. You know, that propaganda to get people thinking, oh, maybe he's not a good guy. Get it, that subconscious thing, right? That's all you hear, like a broken record, over and over and over and over.
I don't think I know anyone that doesn't in Israel. I don't think I know anyone in Israel. Maybe, you know, birds of a feather flock together, right?
Of course.
So we sort of gravitate to our own kind. But I don't know personally anyone who doesn't believe that Netanyahu is the best man to be the prime minister of Israel.
Yeah.
But, you know, they have this thing about the democracy. You know, he's been in there for 10 years already. And there are some Bennett would probably make a fantastic prime minister, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's you don't. No,
I don't think Bennett. I don't like that. I agree 100%. Democracy is one of the big things about democracy is like in America, you have a 2-term limit. Yeah. You have to have rotation for democracy. Yeah. I agree with that, but for right now, I don't see anyone I want to rotate out of Bibi. By the way, that's one of Lapid's biggest points that he's pushing. If he gets elected, one of the first things he'll do is he'll do like America, a 2-term rotation. No one can be a prime minister more than 2 terms.
Yeah, well, that's good and bad. Yeah. That's good and bad. It depends on the end of the 2 terms who's around to replace him.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to get rid of a guy just because he's run out of his 2 years, right?
Right.
Like they do, or 4 years, like they do in America.
Exactly. Yeah.
You sure it's 2 years?
No, 2 terms.
2 terms. Yeah.
It's 2 terms. Well, I'll tell you what. Here in Israel, last time and this time as well, you know, in America was a big problem with election fraud. You know, the election being stolen. Here I have a lot more confidence that it's not going to happen. First of all, the guy who's in charge of all the security over everything that has to do with the courts and everything else and elections in Israel is a good friend of mine. You've met him a few times. And he always gets Ola the job, like the last election in the middle of the night to like 5 o'clock in the morning, counting the votes and stuff.
Counter,
yeah, and all that kind of stuff. So we know the counts here are being counted correctly.
Yeah, because Ola's counting them.
Yeah, well, Ola, if you're hearing this, if you're going to miscount in our way.
I hear you.
Oh, she's in her office over here.
Yeah, she's listening. Yeah. Gotta be careful. Yeah. Well, I remember last week or the week before I mentioned that Hamas decided they're going to become a democracy and have elections. So the election was finished 2 days ago. And Yahya Sinwar is the guy who was the head of Hamas and now still the head of the Hamas. And then it was very clear that he put out all kinds of threats to everyone. This is what he wants to do this election, but he better be elected.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a real democracy. And if anyone knows anything about the Palestinians, that's not a possibility under what we now have established as the PA. The PA all come under.
But they're finally, these days, it looks like they're starting to work together, the Palestinian authorities and Hamas.
Yeah, well, Hamas is not going to change this college, you know.
No.
And their charter is nothing short of the total destruction and the death, total destruction of Israel and the death of all Jews.
Yep.
So. That's all bad news for Israel.
Absolutely. Well, after his election, Yahya Sinwar, first thing happened was last night, missiles to Ashkelon. It was shot. No one was hurt, but, you know, it was just like a little statement. Oh, I'm reelected. I'm in power, right?
Yeah. It's sad. It's very, very sad.
Well, another thing is this is the 3rd time it's been called off, but last night, Benjamin Netanyahu was supposed to fly to the UAE, to the United Arab Emirates, to make an official visit of after making the peace treaties and everything. He had a very busy schedule. He was supposed to meet them and then come back, and he had other people he was going to meet. And all of a sudden, Jordan wouldn't let the flyover happen for the flight path, so they had to cancel it.
Yeah, the first thing I heard it was canceled on the news was because Sarah, his wife, Netanyahu's wife, has an appendix thing, and she had to go to the hospital, and
Yes.
he wasn't going to want to go. Then they changed it to this. Now I read, the things like this just keep snowballing.
Yeah.
They keep snowballing. Now I read that Lapid and Kubarak got together and talked to the Crown Prince of
Jordan.
and was able to stop the flight over because it was just too much publicity for Netanyahu at this point in time, 10 days before the election.
Right.
They didn't think it was fair, so they went under the table and done their dirty work.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, at least that's the rumor.
That's it. It's always rumors. Always
Yeah.
rumors. Well, you got anything else to say?
No.
Well, that was about it. And thank you for joining us on TGR News.
Shabbat Shalom. Come back.